You're a Leewood. You know what that means?
We work hard and we give back.
You know, someday this apple tree will be bigger than I am. We're leaving the future behind today. You'll see.
Giving to Rotary's endowment ensures life-changing programs will benefit generations to come. Your legacy is Rotary's promise.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this month's Foundation Matters webinar. I'm Sandra Hempstead, the chair of the Foundation Regional Action Plan for Zones 33 and 34, and I'll be hosting tonight's event. We're glad you're here for this month's webinar titled The Ripple Effect, Cultivating Gifts with Purpose. Tonight is all about the choices we make as donors and leaders and how it creates an impact far beyond what we can see, and how we can help others discover the same sense of purpose in their giving. Before we dive in, I'd love to introduce the great speakers joining us tonight. First, we're excited to have District Governor Steve Ivory from District 6900 in Georgia. Steve is going to kick us off with his own Rotary story of giving with purpose, a great way to set the tone for what we're exploring this evening. We're also joined by Charlie Rogers, our Endowment and Major Gifts Advisor for Zone 34. Charlie will talk us through the basics of giving to the Rotary Foundation, and importantly, how we can help others to connect their passions to opportunities to support our work. And then after Charlie's presentation, Assistant Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator Stephen Beer from Zone 33 will lead us through the Q&A. So as questions pop up in your head, just drop them into the Q&A box and Stephen will guide that conversation. And finally, we're honored to have our own Rotary International Director, Patrick Eakes, who will close us out with final reflections and a call to action. So let's dive right in and start off. Please join me in welcoming District Governor Steve Ivory to start us off. Steve, the virtual floor is yours.
Hey, good evening, Rotary leaders. My name is Steve Ivory, and I am an active district governor in District 6900 here in Western Georgia. And I'd like to share the moment Rotary truly became part of my life. When I joined Rotary back in 2001, my sponsor, Donna Turner, told me, "Don't worry, it's only about an hour a week." Well, 24 years later, we all know Rotary becomes much more than that. Once it gets into your heart, it becomes part of who you are. After 10 years in the Marine Corps, I was searching for a new path to serve, not just my country, but my community. Rotary became that path. I was invited by our club's second female president, a dynamic business owner, and suddenly I found myself surrounded by mentors, friends, and a purpose that most members of the military need. Over the years, I've worn many Rotary hats. I've been a club treasurer, a vice president, a Georgia Rotary student program host dad 5 times, a Rotary youth exchange counselor, an area governor, and a club president during the pandemic. I learned how to run hybrid meetings for my club while my golden doodle Harley barked at the UPS truck drivers very often. But that reminded me of who we are. Rotary doesn't step back, we step up. We supported first responders, kept members engaged, and increased foundation giving by over 250%. And the projects, those are what inspired me the most. Reading to third graders, judging laws of life essays, bonding with youth exchange students who were determined not to lose me at all 4 Disney parks this past January. Serving with my club, Peachtree City's Rotary Community Corps of Special Needs Adults, stuffing Christmas stockings for dog and cat families, helping with service dog projects and supporting their growth and independence, building beds for kids who had no beds, installing LED lighting in dorms for trafficked children, helping insulate a home for a small group of adults with special needs, working in food banks, packing backpacks filled with food, books, clothing, and hygiene items for children, veterans, and homeless families. These aren't just service hours, they're stories of hope and life changed. Giving to the Rotary Foundation allows me to extend that impact far beyond Georgia. It has let me help with disaster relief in Jamaica and here at home after Hurricanes Helene and Milton. It supports efforts to end human trafficking, eradicate polio, AIDS, malaria, breast cancer, Alzheimer's, and help provide heart surgeries in Ethiopia, improve literacy, strengthen peace, and empower women. Our district has taken on major literacy projects like Kabim, which is a book reader, and joined sanitation efforts in Nepal. As governor, I've been inspired meeting Peace Fellows, awarding peace scholarships, and seeing clubs plant peace poles across our communities. And through programs like Rotaract, Georgia Rotary Student Program, Rotary Youth Exchange, RILA, and Laws of Life, I've seen the next generation of leaders growing before our eyes. All of this lifelong journey of service led my wife Anna and me to join the Arch Clump Society. For us, it reflects a deep commitment to Rotary's 7 areas of focus and ensures that the impact we believe in continues long after we're gone. Thanks for your fellowship, dedication, and your belief that Rotary changes lives, one project, one community, and one heart at a time. Let's keep transforming lives together. And I did have a few slides I was just going to show, of my service. This is, some foundation service projects I've done throughout the years and some special moments in my Rotary life. And then this was our journey to, the Arch Clump, which just happened pretty recently here in October. And as you can see, great opportunity to meet, Rotary leaders from all over the world. And my wife and I are going to cherish those moments, forever. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce Charlie.
Well, thank you, Steve, and congratulations on joining the AKS Society. We welcome you as a new member. I'm the Endowment and Major Gift Advisor for Zone 34. I cover the 3 districts in Georgia, the 8 districts in Florida, and 28 countries in the Caribbean. So keep pretty busy. Before I start getting into talking about our endowment, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the record-breaking year we just experienced in 2024-25. As you know, we had 2 major goals that Rotary set out. One was for annual giving, and the other was for our endowment. Through our Rotary supporters, donors, and partners, our goal was to exceed $500 million last year. In fact, we raised $569 million, a record-breaking year for Rotary. These funds are going to fuel global and district grants, disaster response grants, and top priorities like polio eradication. On the endowment side, our goal was in the year 2025 to raise $2.025 million in our endowment. Again, we had a record-breaking year, and we brought in $2.050 billion, $918 million in net assets, and $1.132 billion in commitments. Obviously, net assets are money that's already been pledged, that's been put in. And as you know, the endowment, the principal in the endowment will never be spent, only the interest that's generated. And I'm going over some of this because, as you know, November is Rotary Foundation Month. And so I thought it would be interesting to at least share the year that we just completed. In 24-25, we had over 478,000 donors that supported our Rotary Foundation. Almost 33,000 clubs contributed, which includes almost 1,900 Rotaract clubs contributing to our Rotary Foundation. Rotary Direct, which is a program Rotary does where you can have money taken out of your checking, savings, or even your favorite credit card monthly, quarterly, semi-annually. saw an increase of 3.3%. We raised over $12.7 million through Rotary Direct. Our Paul Harris Society grew by 5% to over 35,000 members, and Raise for Rotary, which is a program that raises funds online, raised $682,000 from over 600 plus pages across 50 countries. I share this with you all because, as you know, November is Rotary Foundation Month, and just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor of how we ended last year. So let's move right into it. The Rotary Foundation and its endowment. Obviously, the Rotary Foundation is a separate 501c3 organization. Our board of directors is overseeing Rotary International. Our foundation trustees oversee our Rotary Foundation. It's set up as an endowment fund to do good in the world, again, with the principle always staying intact and only a portion of the interest. And as you can see, since 1917, when our foundation started in Atlanta, Georgia by Arch Klump, we've spent over $4 billion on projects worldwide. And I think also it's important to note that the average awards grant is $1 million per day through Rotary, and we've received a 4-star rating every year since 2008. That's 17 consecutive years of getting a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. And we've had 100% perfect score for the last couple of years, which again, less than 2% of all foundations achieve. So the transparency and reporting and job that our Rotary Foundation is doing is bar none. I'm sure you all know the mission statement of our Rotary Foundation. I'm not going to read it to you, but it's important that we keep that in mind. We have 7 main areas of focus, which I'm sure you all are well aware of, and I would challenge any of our Rotary clubs or districts to find a global or district project that doesn't fall under at least one of these 7 areas of focus. Peace building and conflict prevention, disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation and hygiene, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, community economic development, and our environment. We basically have 3 major funds that our contributions go into. I think most of our Rotary clubs spend a lot of time talking about our annual fund and our Polio Plus fund. Annual fund is every Rotarian every year. It's Paul Harris Sustaining members, Paul Harris Fellows, Paul Harris Society members, major donors, and then as Steve just joined, our Arch Klump Society on the annual side. Our Polio Plus Fund, we're fortunate to have matching funds by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We raise $50 million every year towards polio. They match it with $100 million, so it's a $150 million contribution. What we're going to talk about a lot tonight is focusing on our endowment. And the endowment is what's going to secure the future of Rotary. It's something that we spend not very much time talking about. One of my own pet peeves is our Rotary clubs do a great job of bringing in QC community programs, but how are we supposed to educate our rank and file Rotarian members about our Rotary Foundation if we don't have foundation programs? My experience is typically we have one foundation program a year, and that's in November because it's Foundation Month. And so I would like to encourage all of you to reach out to your district foundation committee and bring in somebody to talk about the endowment, to talk about polio, to talk about the various different projects and programs that the foundation does to entice people to participate and get involved. You know, you asked a question of why the Rotary Foundation. We created an endowment because, again, that's what's going to secure the future of Rotary. I'll give you an instance of Harvard University. Harvard has over $52 billion in their endowment. They charge $75,000, $80,000 a year for tuition with a $52 billion endowment. Now, Rotary started late in this game. It was in the late 90s that we started what was then the permanent fund, now called the endowment. But the real key to that is the power of compounding, and we're going to show you that in just a minute. It's also an opportunity to give in perpetuity, to impact future generations and to leave a legacy long after we're here. And that's what's so important. This is a chart that kind of shows you, let's say you become a Bequest Society member and you donate $10,000. At the end of 10 years, you would have had $14,802 in the endowed fund, and we would have been able to give out $4,802 in withdrawals from interest that's earned. And we showed that little introduction about the endowment at the beginning about the apple tree. I think it's a great metaphor to show you that this is a young tree that over the years is going to grow substantially and give out lots of fruit. Well, I think this metaphor analogy works for our Rotary Foundation endowment. A $10,000 initial gift after 10 years will give $4,800 worth of products. If you go down to 50 years, the value has increased from 10,000 to 71,000, and we've given out over $61,000 worth of projects and programs that really are doing good around the world. And that's the whole basis of a foundation and why the endowment works the way it does. So over time, like I say, that $10,000 gift becomes $30,000 thanks to the Gates Foundation. As far as polio goes, $10,000 gift for the endowment generates over $61,000 in 50 years, and the principal, as I said, grows to over $70,000. It's that compounding that makes utilizing our endowment such an advantage. So what do we do with the money that is raised from that? Global grants. Global grants are projects, as you know, with a minimum budget of $30,000. It's funded by the club, matched by the district, and then matched by the World Fund. This is just an example. If the club put in $40,000, the district would match it with $40,000. The World Fund puts in 80% or $32,000. So that $40,000 project becomes a $112,000 project in a third world or developing country. It's a huge, huge benefit. We also have graduate level scholarships and vocational training teams. Districts will also utilize district grants, and those are projects that are $30,000 or less, and typically average budgets maybe $1,500 to $5,000, and it's funded by both the club and by the district. Our Rotary Scholars, 350,000 scholarships have been awarded by our Rotary Foundation. 7.5 million in scholarships are given out by Rotary on an average every single year. And these are all funded by donations through global grants to our Rotary Foundation. We then have our peace centers, which are making a big difference around the world. We're educating 120 to 150 master's level students in a 2-year master's program on peace and conflict resolution every year in over 8 universities scattered around. We've got now over 1,600 alumni since our project program started in 2002. And as I say, there's 7 peace centers around the world, with an 8th one getting ready to open next year. 95% report current work to the Rotary Foundation, and 88% of the work in peace and conflict prevention and resolution is being done by these alumni in over 140 countries around the world. So it's making a huge, huge difference. And again, these are all funded separately by global grants through our Rotary Foundation. Why support the Rotary Foundation over other charities? I know we all give, hopefully, our number one charity is our Rotary Foundation, but I'm sure you give to other ones. I would urge you to go out to Charity Navigator and take a look and see how they're rated. You may be shocked to find that very little of the money you're donating is actually going where you hope and think it's going. A couple of years ago, they shut down a couple of large cancer organizations because they were diverting so much of the funds that people just weren't going to support them anymore. Our administrative costs are very low. We are able to tell our donors, whether they're Rotarians or non-Rotarians, that 91 cents of every dollar that's contributed goes directly to projects and programs. We administer them all. We decide where the projects are going to go and where they're situated, how the funds are going to be spent. Donations can go to any one of those 7 areas of focus. It's the choice of the donor. The capital, as I said earlier, of our endowment is never spent, only the interest that's generated. And our gifts can be contributed, obviously, in many different ways. Ways that you can help our Rotary Foundation and yourself at the same time. If you're over 70 and a half, then you're going to need to make a qualified charitable distribution. And we suggest that you make that directly to Rotary. If you take money out of a IRA or a 401k, you're going to have to pay taxes on that, and then you donate it. You get a charitable deduction, but you can go to wherever those funds are and have them transferred directly to the Rotary Foundation, and that will satisfy your qualified charitable distribution, and you won't have to pay taxes on that. You could create a charitable gift annuity. You can donate a paid-up insurance policy or appreciated stock. We'll talk a little bit about those in just a second. How can that qualified charitable distribution benefit you? Well, obviously, it's going to avoid putting you in a higher tax bracket, and it's a way to benefit your charitable tax deduction without itemizing on your return, and that could be very beneficial. There's also some changes in the tax laws that seem to indicate if you're looking to make a large gift to the Rotary Foundation, it could be advantageous to do that in 2025 as the laws are going to change in 2026, and we would advise you to talk to your financial advisor, your attorney, to find out how you could benefit that way. This is just a little difference between qualified charitable distributions and a regular charitable distribution. I'm not going to go through it all, kind of gets in the weeds, but again, the qualified charitable distribution is 70 and a half or older. It comes out of your IRA. It's excluded from your taxable income. There's no itemization required on your tax return. You can donate up to $100,000 per person per year, and it does count towards your required minimum distribution. So something to think about if you're 70 and a half or older, and I would encourage you to talk to your fellow club members who may fall into this category to help them out because they may not be aware of it. We all have a fear about living our money. A charitable gift annuity is a great way to reduce the risk of that happening. You can make a donation to the Rotary Foundation, and you will get every quarter monies back, depending on your age. And obviously, it's a way to provide a benefit not only to your charity, but to increase your income on a quarterly basis. How a charitable gift annuity works, basically the donor signs an annuity agreement, and then they take makes a lump sum donation to Rotary and then gets a partial tax deduction. They also, it's invested in the charity. The donor will receive payments on a fixed schedule for the life per the terms of the annuity agreement, and it can be set up to where it not only pays you for your lifetime, but it can pay your spouse as well. And then upon the death of you and or your spouse, the charity receives the balance. But you're getting income every quarter in between. And the other way is obviously donating a life insurance policy. Why might you donate life insurance? Later on in your life, you may find that you don't really need the funding early on. If you have children and things like that, you need to make sure you can prepare for your family. But certainly how it could benefit not only you get the deduction, but benefits Rotary by you being able to pledge that paid up life insurance policy. You can also donate appreciated stock. We hear about people who bought into Microsoft when it was maybe $10 or $15 a share, and over the years, have seen tremendous growth and appreciation in what that stock is worth. If you cash it out, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. You could avoid those capital gains taxes and increase your tax deduction by donating that appreciated stock to the Rotary Foundation. There's one other way, and that's a bequest in your will to recognize your generosity. And most districts will work with attorneys there where they can do a codicil to your will. And it's a pretty simple thing, and you can leave a percentage or a dollar amount, whatever you want, to the Rotary Foundation. This is Rotary Foundation Month, and we're here really kind of talking about the Rotary Foundation and how you can give. I'd like to urge you all that if you're not currently involved, dip your toe in the water. Consider giving a gift of any size to the endowment and get started and learn more about what those opportunities are. Each one of our districts has a district foundation committee that can help you. My contact information is on the screen here. Feel free to email me or call me if there's anything I can do to work with you or your district. And it goes without saying, we appreciate the financial support our Rotarians have given us. We had a record-breaking year in 24-25, and we anticipate we're going to do even better in the coming year. But it's with your help and your support that we can do this. I'll be happy to answer questions. I'll turn it back over to Stephen Beer, who will direct those questions, and we'll see how we can address whatever you're thinking.
Thank you, Charlie. Put your questions in the Q&A function on the bar on your screen. But I'll start with one question. Can my donation to the endowment, this is for Charlie, can my donation to the endowment be made over multiple years? And how are ways that we might be able to make this work?
Stephen, it's an excellent question. And a lot of people don't realize that Rotary does have an opportunity for you to be able to make a pledge over a 3-year period. Let's say that you're a Paul Harris Fellow and you've given $1,000, and through motivations and talks, you decided you want to become a major donor. You would need $9,000 additional dollars. Well, maybe coming up with $9,000 this year is a little more than you can do. You can put in $3,000 this year and sign a pledge that you'll pay $3,000 over the next 2 years, so that total is $9,000. You'll be recognized today as a major donor, but have 3 years to submit the final payment.
Great, that sounds wonderful. Another question. How much of my donated funds actually go directly to my chosen project or program?
Again, and that's a question that we should be really proud of. As I mentioned earlier, 91 cents of every dollar that's donated to the Rotary Foundation goes directly to projects and programs. And for those who don't understand how that works, basically the Rotary Foundation invests those funds for 3 years. The interest that's generated off of those pays for the payroll, the fund development, and the staffing, assuring the donors that 91 cents of every dollar goes to projects and programs.
Thank you, Charlie. I have a question for Steve. How would you approach a new Rotarian to begin their journey of giving to the Rotary Foundation?
Well, I think that I would want to know what their passions were. You know, what makes them, you know, what makes them tick, you know, what do they want to see happen, and make sure that they're engaged and let them know that, you know, their dollars can help drive those passions. You know, we're always encouraging Rotarians to come forward with new ideas. So the foundation is a way for me to leverage that, so those new Rotarians know that this wonderful organization we're in can leverage their passions. So that's what I would just want to make sure that they, you know, you basically surveyed them and found out what they wanted to do.
Excellent. Great idea there, Steve. Another question for Charlie. Will Rotary enable me to have a named endowment in my family's name?
Absolutely. There's a $25,000 minimum in order to have an endowed fund, but your district will work with you, or will work with you. RI representatives will work with you to be happy to establish a named endowment, which again is a legacy gift that will long outlast each of us. And that's something that we promote quite a bit.
Hey, thank you, Charlie. another question for you. Who decides what projects or programs my donation ends up supporting?
We get a lot of those questions, and it's real simple. The donor is the one who dictates how it goes. Rotary doesn't decide where we're going to put your money. You tell Rotary one of those 7 areas of focus or a global grant or whatever you want to fund, that's what's going to go. So the donor decides how their money is going to be utilized.
Is there a minimum amount of funding to have that a power to make those decisions?
No, you donate to the annual fund, obviously it goes there, but basically the donor, especially if we're talking larger gifts, endowments, bequests, things like that, the donor will decide with whoever they're working with at Rotary how those funds are going to be utilized and where they're going to be applied to.
Okay. I have another question for Steve. What has been the most impactful project your club has implemented using funds from the Rotary Foundation?
I would say it was with an organization called Wellspring Living, which helps traffic victims. There's a location fairly close to the Atlanta airport. Unfortunately, the Atlanta airport is one of the worst, parts of the nation for trafficking. And we got foundation dollars and bought some washers and dryers and then mattresses for a bunch of these, young girls that were trafficked. And then that led to a project where we got together with my former company and our team in Rotary and about 85 members of our club and other organizations, a few electricians installed. We obviously sent the young girls away for the day to a park with their counselors and stuff. But we basically relit the whole entire dorm with solid state LED lighting. And basically their dorms were really kind of dark and dingy. And we, as a club and with some electricians, big team effort, huge donation from my old corporation, Cooper Lighting. And we basically installed all these lights all over the whole dorm, and it kind of changed the whole outlook. And, obviously we couldn't see the impact, but we know the impact it was going to make. And we found out from the counselors that the children were all so excited to have not only new washers, dryers, mattresses, beds, pillows, things like that, but then they could see so much better in their rooms. And lighting does change your life if it's done right. So that was really, really exciting for me because I like doing stuff with my hands. So it was really a great project overall, and I felt really good about that one.
Thank you, Steve. Charlie, another question. I'll save that one for last. If you had somebody sets up a named fund and it's a substantial amount of money, and you had that chart earlier that shows how the principal grows, and each year some of the interest is you send into the global fund. Do the donors receive statements that show the value of that asset and how much was put into the global fund each year?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you repeat it again, please?
Okay, you had earlier you had on your slides, you had a chart that showed how a donation, it might have been $50,000, and how it grew, or $25,000, it grew to $75,000 over time, and there's an equal amount roughly had been used in grants. So if somebody makes a contribution to the endowment like that, are they going, or can they find out how much that is in that account each year if they chose to do so?
Okay, great. I understand now. And the answer is yes. Obviously, if it's a larger gift, $25,000 or more, and you're working through Rotary to set up a named endowment as a legacy gift or whatever, then they can give you reports on the monies that are generated off of that and where those funds are going and things like that. If you're making just a general donation, again, Rotary every year puts out an annual report and really breaks down exactly all the benefits that the Rotary Foundation does around the world and all their different funds. So transparency is really important. We want to make sure that our donors understand that we're one of the most respected foundations in the world. Besides being 17 consecutive years of 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. In 2016 and 17, we were the world's outstanding foundation by the Association of Fundraising Professionals. So we are looked at and admired by foundations around the world, and because of our success. But yes, we want our donors to understand exactly how their money is being utilized and where it's going.
Okay, and how can we assist? Who can we contact to assist in establishing our endowment gift?
That's a real good question. Each district's got a foundation committee. You have a Rotary Foundation chair, and then there's several people on that committee. I would start there. If it's a large gift, $10,000 or more, obviously, as our endowment and major gift office advisor, I'll be happy to work with you and the donor to meet whatever their wishes are and get that done through our staff up in Evanston.
Okay, and another question. When is the Rotary annual report usually published, and how can Rotarians access it?
Right. They just actually came out with it, I think, at the end of October, November. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to coordinate all of our work. As you know, our Rotary year starts on July 1 and ends on June 30. So it takes a few months for them to do all the paperwork. But a report is out there. You can go to Rotary.org and take a look and read through it. The foundation puts it out every single year.
Great. And somebody wants to know if our slides will be available to them. How can they get copies of the slides? Maybe Sandra, can you answer that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer that. The slides and the recordings will be under the Foundation Matters tab on the RI Zones 3334 website. And you will get a link to the website in tomorrow's email from the Zoom, and you can find it there at any time. And in fact, you can find every one of our recordings from the last year and a half.
Great. Okay, that finishes our Q&A session. Is Patrick available? Now, if not, I'll turn it over to Sandra.
Patrick is here.
Patrick's
There
here.
he is.
Our Rotary International Director, Patrick Eakes. Welcome to our program this evening, Patrick.
Thank you for the great program tonight. Great to be with you all. I think this is a really important topic. We've done a great job of creating the culture of supporting the annual fund. We see lots of banners that are sent out, top per capita clubs and 100% giving clubs, and we really celebrate that. And of course, Polio Plus is our big project. As Charlie said, sometimes we don't talk as much about the endowment fund, and I think it's really important. It's a way to create a legacy, whether you give today or whether you commit to a gift from your estate. Either way, you have an opportunity to create a lasting impact. That frankly, it says that when my story is told, when I'm no longer here, that I want Rotary's work to continue. I want to have that ability to still be contributing to the world through Rotary when we're at our 200th anniversary for Rotary. I think it's so important. So I want to encourage you, especially in many of your clubs and districts where there's no culture of supporting the endowment funds, to be the one to lead the way. You can set the tone, you can create momentum, you can help educate, you can set a great example for others who might be inclined if they understood that opportunity is there. So I think that's important. I think it's also worth noting for an estate gift, and I've said this many times, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but you won't even have to write the check. If you make an estate gift, someone else will take care of that for you. And to reinforce that point, it's probably been 20 years ago, but in my district, we had several clubs where every member made either a cash gift or an estate commitment of at least $1,000. Every single member of a club did that. And one of the clubs that was driving that direction, they held one of their club meetings at a funeral home just to make the point that you can't take it with you. Of course, they had a notary there to help with any will codicils and that type of thing, but they really made the point that none of us is getting out of this alive. So you have your opportunity to leave a lasting impact. I often encourage people. You saw dipping a toe in the water. I mean, the first time I made a gift to the endowment fund, I did some of the things that Charlie talked about. I decided to make a $25,000 gift. I did it over 3 years as a pledge. I was given the recognition right away for the full 25,000 after I gave the first installment. But the reason I chose $25,000 is I thought conservatively with a 4% return annually, it's like I'm going to be in the Paul Harris Society forever. That $25,000 is going to generate $1,000 at least every single year. And so, you know, what will work for you will be very individual. And you've heard a number of very skilled and experienced people on this call talk about how they approach things. You have teams of people who are there to help you. All you have to do is raise your hand and say, I want to create a legacy. I want my contributions to Rotary to continue after I leave this planet. So I encourage you to think about that. You've heard compelling reasons to do so this evening. And I look forward to us continuing to build our endowment well past that $2 billion that we reached this past year. Sandra, thanks so much for letting me spend a few minutes with you.
Thanks. We're so glad that you're here and appreciate your comments. I know many of us started our giving to the Rotary Foundation with very small amounts. In fact, I believe my first gift was $25 to polio. So there you go. We are hoping that you've been inspired by what you've heard this evening, by Steve Ivory's story of giving, by everything that Charlie Rogers presented on how you can give and why to give, and certainly Patrick's closing comments. Before we close, I do have an announcement to make, and this is one that makes me smile because I have traveled with Nancy Barbie. She's leading a group to India for a National Immunization Day experience in February of 2026. And you'll participate in opportunities to vaccinate children, which is, of course, one of the big reasons why we go. But you'll also be able to meet key partners such as the World Health Organization, UNICEF. And you'll also possibly visit Dr. Matthew Varghese. If you have not met him, he is an incredible doctor who has done life-changing corrective surgery for so many polio survivors in India. And of course, there's time for unforgettable sightseeing in New Delhi, Agra, and Kolkata. So if you want to be a part of this experience, just reach out to Nancy Barbie. Her email is on the screen. Feel free to take a picture of the screen so that you have it. It is truly an unforgettable, remarkable experience. Please mark your calendar to join us for our next Foundation Matters webinar. It's on December 18th, and it will be an informal chat with the Rotary Foundation leaders from zones 33 and 34. It's going to be a great opportunity to ask all those questions and hear directly from those helping guide the Rotary Foundation work in our zones. When you log off the call today, you'll get a short pop-up which will ask you to submit questions or topics that you'd like to discuss in December. Once again, thank you for spending your evening with us. We'll share the recording soon, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next Foundation Matters webinar. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you for all you do to make the good work of Rotary possible. Have a nice evening.